Hey Magical Sparks, welcome back to my channel. It's Sparkle here, and today's video is one that I have been really requested to make for the past 4 months, and it's not just like 1 or 2 requests that I got. I think I got at least 300 requests minimum of people asking me to make this specific video, and I don't know, I was just really nervous, so I was putting it off. But you know what, today I'm finally doing it. And of course, if you guys are watching up to here, you've probably looked at the title and read the thumbnail as well, so you know that I'm going to be teaching you guys how to draw hair, or at least one way of how to draw hair. And these are the main supplies I'm going to be using today. And also, there is no right or wrong way to draw hair, but this is just how I like to go about it. And with that, let's get straight into this video. So the first thing I'm going to be showing you guys before I show you guys actually how to draw different hair types are hand movements. So as you can see, this first type of hair that I drew here is typically what you don't want to do because it looks a bit stiff, but if it is a stylistic choice and it just kind of suits the style of drawing you're doing, then of course you can go with it. But otherwise, I like to make sure I practice my hand movements and make sure I'm able to draw hair in a really loose kind of way. And I'd recommend spending at least 1 minute before you draw hair, just to loosen up your hand and learn how to draw hair in a really loose and flowy way. For example, the curl that I'm drawing now, as you can see, is much more looser and just looks a bit more better than the curl on the left, which I'm working on now, and you can see the difference, right? So I definitely recommend taking some time just to practice that. But anyways, with all that aside, now I'm going to be showing you guys how I like to go about drawing different types of hair. And the first hair type that we're going to be looking at is straight hair. And by the way, for a lot of these hairdos, I'm going to try and keep them consistent by keeping them parted to the side, just so you guys can kind of compare how they look. But other than that, let's just get straight into this. So I don't really know how to explain my process because it's just kind of something I do, but that's why I've kind of made sure to slow down the video and not speed it up too much so you guys can see what I'm doing. But if I were to explain it, I'd probably just say when I'm drawing straight hair, I like to really focus on the ends, and I like to keep them, well, obviously as straight as I can, but at the same time I like to give them a little bit of curve because keeping them completely straight does kind of take away the volume and it makes it look really stiff. So I pretty much try to draw straight hair but with a bit of curves here and there. I don't know, this is really hard to explain. By the way, for the ends, there are 2 ways you can possibly end your hair. I mean, there's probably more, but 2 possible ways you can end them are like this. One is with a box-like end, and another one is with a triangular shaped end, as you can see here. But for me personally, I like the triangular shaped end, but you know what, you guys can do whatever suits you. By the way, I know that some people do struggle with drawing straight hair because they just aren't able to grasp exactly how the hair is meant to be drawn. And that's completely okay because the way you're drawing it is definitely not the wrong way, because there is no wrong way to draw hair in my opinion. But in those cases, I would recommend looking at cartoons and how they've kind of drawn their hair, for example Disney cartoons, and just kind of get ideas from that. I mean, obviously don't copy, but getting inspiration is definitely okay. But anyways, with that, this is pretty much the straight hair done, and here's how it turned out. And I like to kind of keep the ends really simplistic. I don't like to go ahead and draw each individual end, but that's also a stylistic choice that is up to you. Now the next type of hairdo I'm going to be showing you guys is wavy hair. So this is going to be pretty much in between straight hair and curly hair. It's going to be pretty much straight hair on top with a bit more extra flair to it. So as you can see, I'm pretty much doing the same thing that I did as when I was drawing straight hair, but in the ends I'm just adding a bigger curve to it and I'm making it more significant, and that definitely helps you to show the waviness in the hair. So it's as you can see, I don't even need to explain anything, honestly. You guys can just see what I'm doing and it's pretty obvious, right? I'm just making the curves a bit more exaggerated, a bit more visible, and in the end it's going to end up looking more wavier than it was straight. Okay, I know I'm really bad at explaining, and that's probably why I was putting off this video for so long, because every time I film tutorials I just feel like I'm not doing anything right. I just don't like how any of these drawings turned out, and I'm still posting it anyways because I hope that it might help you guys. And I'm not good at explaining either, but I hope what you guys are able to see on screen might help you out. And I'm honestly just looking forward to filming other videos art challenges and all that stuff, because tutorials are just not for me. But anyways, like I was saying before, you can see how the wavy hair is pretty much just straight hair but with a bit more of a curviness at the end. And I think that's pretty much it. Now the next type I'm going to be showing you guys is curly hair. So I did make a specific tutorial for drawing curly hair, and it's actually posted on my channel as a shorts video. You can check that out if you want to. But this is just more of a looser method, and it's just one that I've started to adopt in 2023, and it's pretty much just to go ahead and draw really messy squiggles, and in the end they're going to end up looking like curls. But in my shorts video, I did show you guys a different way to draw curly hair. But again, you guys can do whatever works for you. And like in that video, I kind of talked about how you can draw curly hair like in a way that looks really like perfect and everything. But for this specific drawing here, I kind of drew it in a more loose way, and it just looks more natural in my opinion. And as you can see, even with the way I'm holding my pencil and just moving my hands, I'm just being really loose because for curly hair, I want it to look messy, I want it to look natural, and this is just how it's going. And I don't really know how to better explain this because I feel like the simplest way to put it is pretty much just draw a bunch of squiggles. And while I'm drawing curly hair, I also like to make the top part of the hair straight, just because I feel like that kind of shows the curls more visibly. But like when I'm drawing coily hair, I like to make sure that it's like really curly from the top to the bottom. But don't worry, that's going to be the next thing. By the way, as you guys can see now as well, even when I'm drawing the ends, I like to keep them really open and kind of loose and flow, because again, it just like adds to that more natural kind of look. And that is pretty much how I draw curly hair, or at least how I'm currently going about drawing curly hair. Okay, next thing I'm going to be showing you guys is how to draw coily hair, which is pretty much like curly hair but with more smaller and densely packed curls that generally start from the top. Okay, so for this, I'm pretty much going to go ahead and draw the bangs in the same way that I drew the previous bangs. And if you guys want the curls to be more densely packed, then feel free to just like make the squiggles more closer to each other. Or if you want them to be far apart, obviously just make the squiggles more further apart. And it's honestly quite self-explanatory, but in the end, the way you decide to draw it will end up giving the illusion of coily hair. By the way, I do want to address any beginners watching this video or anyone who's like watching this to improve their own art. I get how drawing hair can be hard for a lot of people, and honestly it isn't easy because you're trying to take something from real life but like recreate it with a pencil and paper. I mean, come on, that's crazy, right? But you know what, please don't give up. Even if you try this tutorial or if you try any other tutorial and it's not really helping you out or it's not turning out the way you wanted it to turn out, please don't give up. Keep on trying and you will get there in the end. I believe in you guys 100%, and I know that all of you guys can do this, so don't stop believing. Also, in my last video that I made where I showed you guys how I like to go about drawing bodies, a lot of you guys were saying that the video was very fast, so I decided to slow this down and not speed up the footage too much. So I hope that kind of helps you guys if you want to follow along. But also, if this is going fast for you, I would recommend trying to adjust the speed in settings for this video and maybe like lower it to a slower speed, because that might help you out. But either way, I wish you guys all good luck, and you guys definitely got this. And as you can see for coily hair, I also like to add like some streaks in between, and that just kind of like gives the illusion of the hair flowing, and I think it looks kind of cool. And with that, the last hair type I'm going to be showing you guys in today's video is braided hair. And if I'm being completely honest, I think I've only done this like once or twice in my life, so I was kind of learning while I recorded this footage. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and marked out how I wanted the hair to look and pretty much the areas that I wanted the hair to cover. And once I was okay with that, I mean, if you guys need to, you can lighten your sketch, but in my case, the sketch was like fairly light, so I just kind of like left it and drew on top of it. And then I started to add like these kind of arch shapes going downwards. So I started with one side, then I did the other, and in the end it kind of looks like a braid in a way. And I pretty much just like repeated that for the entire page. And in a way I kind of thought of it as like drawing individual hair strands for straight hair, but instead of like drawing the actual strands as lines, and kind of like drawing them as braids instead. And I know this might look complicated, but like once you start doing it, it's actually not that hard, and you'll kind of just like get the hang of it, and there will be a point where this will actually become really therapeutic and enjoyable as well. Also, if you do accidentally mess up and end up drawing some of the shapes like in the wrong direction, like I did near the ear, that's completely fine as well, because like no one's going to notice in the end unless, I mean, it's a really big piece. But either way, hair isn't perfect, so having mini imperfections is not a bad thing. By the way, I do want to mention that before I went ahead and recorded this video, I did do a bit of research, and I found out that there are actually specific names for specific hair types. There's things like 1B, 2C, 4A, like all those kind of things, and I do realize that this classifying system does exist, but I'm not going to use them today to describe the types of hair I'm drawing, because quite frankly, I don't want to give you guys like the wrong information, because I'm not too sure about this myself. So we're just going to go ahead and stick with normal names like straight, curly, wavy, and hopefully you guys will just kind of understand what I mean. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way as well. By the way, I do want to say this is like my take on how I go about drawing braided hair, And as someone who's not too experienced with drawing braided hair, I get if you guys don't want to follow this specific tutorial, but I know for sure that there are a lot of good tutorials on YouTube for how to draw hairstyles like these, so I'd recommend checking them out because they're definitely amazing. But this is just like my take on how I go about it. And one of the things I like to do when I'm drawing hair is I like to shade the area behind the neck with a bit of a dark color, just to kind of add that sense of depth and to kind of separate the hair from the face and the neck. Again, this is just a stylistic choice though, but here are how all the different hair types look, and I hope this might have helped you out. Now the next thing I'm going to be talking about is drawing the same hairstyle but in different lengths. And for the sake of showing you guys this example, I'm going to be drawing a girl with straight hair, but I'm pretty sure you can try and use this technique for other hair types as well. But the thing is, you might need to change up just a couple of things here and there, but here's how I go about doing it for straight hair. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing a girl with like medium, like shortish but mediumish hair, just to show you guys an example of what we're working with. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw a person with shorter hair on the left. So as you can see, what I'm pretty much doing is I'm going about it the same way that I went about drawing the first hairstyle, but I'm just kind of pushing the hairs kind of closer to the head and closer to the scalp. And it's just one of those things where you just kind of see and understand rather than me explaining it. But if you're going to go ahead and draw a hairstyle in a more shorter way, try and just push it more to the scalp and add more flowiness to the ends, versus if you wanted to draw the same hairstyle but just in a longer kind of format, then I'd recommend just pushing out those hairs really down. And I don't know, it's just really hard to explain, but can you guys see what I mean? You pretty much just work with what you've got and just think about how it might look in reality and just kind of work with that, follow your intuition. Okay, and with that done, the next thing I'm going to be showing you guys is how to draw hair while considering the influence of the direction of wind and how it might affect the way the hair will be flowing. Okay, so I'm going to start off by sketching a basic head, and as you can see, the arrow that I'm drawing now is going to represent the wind and what direction it's coming from. So starting it off, I'm pretty much going to go ahead and draw the hair like how I normally draw hair, but the ends are going to be more facing towards the opposite direction of the way the wind is coming. So for example, the wind is coming in from the left, which is why the hair ends are flowing to the right. I mean, it's pretty much the same way that physics works in real life. And I'm not really overthinking it, I'm just pretty much drawing hair and just pushing it all to the right side, making it all really flowy and messy. And also just think about how when you're drawing hair in real life, if the wind is pushing it, it is going to look messy. And the same kind of thing applies with when you're drawing hair for a cartoon character as well. It's going to look really chaotic yet natural and beautiful. And now the very final thing I'm going to be showing you guys in this video is how I like to go about drawing slightly more unique hairstyles. So for the first hairstyle, I'm going to be drawing a girl with curtain bangs and a layer cut, which is actually my current haircut, by the way. But anyways, so for the curtain bangs, I like to go about drawing them in a kind of like swooping motion, pretty much just like drawing curves or like kind of like a wave in the beach, and in a way it kind of looks like a mustache, so just think of it that way. And then for the layer cut, how I like to go about drawing the layer cut is by pretty much drawing in the same way that I would do if I were just drawing straight or wavy hair, but instead of just adding those like little ends at the bottom of the hair, I'm going to add it all along the way. So as you can see, I roughly just sketched out where I want the hair to be, and as I'm working my way down, I'm adding like these little lines pointing outwards just to show where the layers are and where the hair pretty much ends, and that kind of just like ends up giving the look of a layer cut. And I mean, this is just like my way of doing it. Again, there are so many ways of going about this, but this is just how I like to do it. Alright, and the second hairstyle is going to have straight front bangs with a half up space bun kind of look. Like, I don't really know what it's called, but this was the same look that I had with my old profile picture last year, and it just brings back that nostalgia. But anyways, so what I like to do is I like to just go ahead and draw the bangs in a motion where it's kind of like the curves are pointing inwards. So like the curves on the left side of her forehead are pointing towards those at the right side. And I just don't like to keep it really flat. I like to keep it kind of pointing inwards just to give it that natural look. And as for the space buns, or the half up space buns, I think they're called, I divided the hair in half and I had the bottom part flowing down, pretty much the same way I go about drawing straight hair. And then for the buns, I just did like these circles and I added a couple of bumps here and there, and that was pretty much what I did. And that's done. So for the final hairstyle, I'm going to be drawing a girl with like side bangs and a long braid, and drawing growing braids is not my expertise, but I still decided to give it a try and see how it goes. So this is how I did it. Although drawing side bangs is something that I do a lot because I love side bangs. They're so pretty. Okay, so for the side bangs, it's pretty much like the same as curtain bangs, but just like have it going to one side and starting like not at the center of the head, but just a bit more to the opposite side. And today for the braids, I just kind of went for it and I kind of just started to draw like a bunch of curves just pointing inwards from either direction and just flowing in the same way. But usually what I like to do is I like to just draw out a rough line just so I can see for myself how long I want the braid to be and how like thick I want the braid to be. But today I just kind of went for it, and here's how that turned out. If that was a bit too fast for you guys, feel free to slow down the footage and just rewatch it again if that helps. But that's pretty much how I drew these 3 hairstyles, and here is the refined sketch. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't stop here. I actually did the line art for the sketch, and then I actually went ahead and colored it, and I actually filmed how I colored it as well. But the thing is, if I include all of that in this video, the video is actually going to end up being way too long and I won't have enough time to explain my process, so I'm actually not going to include it in this video. But if you guys do want to see a video on how I went about coloring these 3 hairstyles, or just generally different ways to color hair, then let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can make a video on that. But anyways guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fabulous day. Stay awesome as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!